Okay, so it's been a minute
Yeah.
for yeah, there has been a Gossip Grid, and it's not because I quit Gossip Grid. I love Gossip Grid. It is one of my favorite segments to do.
So real quick, because I don't want to get too into this segment. If you're a newer Grid Walk listener, you probably don't know what Gossip Grid is, and it's a segment where Nicole breaks down the week in the intersection between pop culture and F1. So this could be celebrities that show up to a race, it could be new partnerships and deals that are struck, media coverage of F1, basically anything where F1 intersects in like the rest of people's lives. Like if you're not crazy about F1 person in your life calls you up and is like, why is the Stallion on the F1 grid right now? Why is LeBron James there? Why did someone think that Patrick Mahomes or that basketball player was Patrick Mahomes? Like, but also like, oh my God, Lewis Hamilton was at Paris Fashion Week. That is Gossip Grid, and it is one of our favorite segments. And we've been trying to do it every week. And every week I call up Nicole and I'm like, so can we do a Gossip Grid this week? Is there enough going on in pop culture? And then she sighs and goes, no.
There's a couple of different reasons as to why I think that there's been like a lull in pop culture within Formula One. But I mean, big elephant in the room, which we've discussed a little bit. The Screen Actors Guild and Writers Guild of America are currently on strike. So part of that strike involves that stars, writers, people involved in projects that are TVs, movies. Oh my gosh, there's like, it's crazy what can still fall into this. If you haven't looked into it, please go do. There can be no promotion of any sort of projects via interviews, appearance, social media, anything at all. So a lot of less PR happening. So before we dive into how that affects F1, I think speaking for both of us, writers deserve to be fully compensated for their work, benefit from the profits of their creativity, being properly compensated, because when you're having writers that create content that makes billions and billions of dollars and they're getting paid $25,000 for their one-time fee, the way this is just not functional. It's not working. These large organizations can do so much better, and or else we're all just going to suffer in the long term.
Yes. We are both very pro union, pro strike. Please pay your actors and writers fairly. Give them what they want. There's a ton of really great resources and information on this. We'll definitely leave some in the description of this episode if you would like to go support all of that. You'll also notice that there's been a serious lack of us talking about TV shows and movies and things that we normally like, and that's because while we are not members of SAG or the WGA, we don't want to promote struck work if we don't have to, in order to be as pro this strike and supportive of it as we can.
There's like one particular film that if we were able to be speaking about, I think maybe in a year we just have a whole themed episode because it's a missed opportunity.
Yes.
But support of the strike.
And there's a TV show. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now that is like very in our wheelhouse, but we're not talking about it. And there's a lot of people doing that. So I do think it's interesting that there seems to be a general decrease in, like, just looking at celebrity attendance at races. There has been a general dip. I do think there's been a ton of athletes at F1 races.
We've seen a lot of athletes. We've seen a couple of musicians is where it gets interesting because like some musicians are in SAG and some aren't. And so that is kind of like an overlap there. But if you go back and listen to a lot of the gossip grids, a lot of the time when I'm talking about celebrities who are attending a race, it's because they're promoting a movie. Vin Diesel is part of a certain franchise that has to do with very loud cars, and like that had the entire cast promoting it this year. And like there's been numerous movies this year that have had promotions on the grid and the entire cast is there and they do this repeatedly. And there's been like an unbelievable like lull of celebrity attendance. We saw Steve Carell at gosh, is that the Dutch GP? And I was like, I want to talk about this, but that was it. That's like all I was able to say.
Right, and I think the interesting thing is now celebrities who are attending F1 races are doing it because they're just interested in it and they want to. So I think we're getting a little bit of a glimpse of in the European heartland of F1, like, if there was no press going on, what actors would actually show up to a random race? And the answer is Steve Carell.
The answer is Steve Carell, and it was his first one. So...
Yeah. Oh, you were also telling me a really interesting point to all of this, because it's not all just about, like, would they be interested in going? Because you were telling me something that Dax Shepard said on his podcast about attending events right now as an actor in SAG.
Yes. So it was also become... So I listen to Armchair Expert. If you haven't heard of it, it is a podcast with Dax Shepard, and how they've been like navigating through, and their whole thing. They have a bunch of celebrities come on, and it's usually to promote their project. So listening to their podcast has been very interesting about how they're navigating that, like all through the strike, and they're also all in SAG. So their celebrities have been receiving a lot of backlash when they're posting on social media attending other events. So his example, he was on vacation, like Martha's Vineyard. This had been booked for months. His kids were on summer vacation. They have friends out there. They went and spent like 2 weeks out there or something. And he said that he was flooded on social media with comments saying, how dare you not be like
picketing
a picket line? How are you not striking? How dare you be on vacation? All these things. He's like, I was picketing last week and this, that, whatever. So I could also see maybe F1 races falling underneath that like excursion of, wow, you were at this very large, luxurious, relatively expensive event when there's an entire strike for your entire industry going on that revolves around like proper payment of people. So that could be like a reason going on. Maybe they're fed up with Red Bull dominance. I do kind of feel like it is like
we should touch on the fact
pieces.
Yeah, we don't think that the strike is the only reason there's been a pop culture lull, but we do think it's an interesting add-on to this. Red Bull dominance and just the lack of excitement around races right now is going to be a contributing factor. We can't pretend like it's not. I also think there's a third thing here, which is in America in particular, I think F1 might be losing the shiny, fancy, new thing sheen. It's transitioning from, oh my god, look at this cool, new, fun thing, to this is this thing we like. And those are different feelings in pop culture. I think there's been a significant downturn in, Cosmopolitan deciding to just write an F1 article like, what is this thing that people are now liking? Because now it's more just ingrained that people like it. So if we're looking at F1 media coverage, there's going to be a downtick because people don't need to write those, whoa, people like F1 articles anymore.
Like, we do this. It will be, for so many reasons, I would like the strike to be over and fall in the correct favor and everyone be compensated as they should be very quickly, but I really hope it's settled by Vegas because I want to know every bit of promotion. I want to know like what movie, like there has to have been like months of planning of people going to this race, and I'm sure it's going to be like an unbelievably celebrity studded event. So I'm not like anticipating there not to be a Gossip Grid after Vegas. I'm anticipating it to probably be one of the biggest, but I definitely think there will be like some kind of effects of attendance or whatever activations go down.
Yeah, I do think it would be interesting if it's not resolved by then to be able to compare Vegas's first year to Miami's first year and just how much that the strike could potentially affect it and people attending this race. There's been rumors for a while now about how difficult Vegas is struggling to sell tickets. So I'm intrigued about Vegas for a myriad of reasons we can't get into now. But I think in summary, there hasn't been Gossip Grids because there hasn't been a lot of pop culture. There's a bunch of reasons why F1 hasn't been as ingrained in pop culture as it has in years past. But the good news is there was enough that happened this week, and we have a Gossip Grid again this week!
Surprise! The conversation about where has Gossip Grid been ends with a Gossip Grid!
I'm so excited.
All right, let's get into it.
Hey, podcast listeners. Gossip Grid here, your guide to F1's paddock elites.
Absolutely everything you need to know about Formula One and pop culture. It's been a little bit of a lull, but we are back. And we got quite a few things to talk about. I have scoured the internet in every way possible to give a well-developed gossip grid because we deserve one after this drought. So I have to start off with something that means a lot to me, but maybe not related, maybe not be as important to a lot of other people, and some people might not know who this is. One of my favorite content creators, YouTubers, streamers, whatever you want to label his job title, Julian Solomita. He is also so incredibly lucky to be married to Jenna Marbles. Has recently entered his F1 era. It has come up in streams. It has been mentioned several times. He was talking about Monza on a stream last week. And he's also recently started to play Sims. Now, I'm not going to get into how and what happened in his sim house, but a baby ended up in the sim house, and he renamed the baby to Max Verstappen. So now there is a blonde sim baby named Max Verstappen in Julia Solomita's sim house. I will keep you updated on how the baby develops. Now, we were just talking a lot about the strike and everything like that, so here comes a little bit of a gray area. A lot of my previous gossip grids were talking about the Brad Pitt F1 movie with Apple TV. It was filming, and then it was not filming. It had stopped filming, but sorta hasn't. There were a couple clips being filmed last week at Monza. It's possible that the people being filmed are not part of SAG, but that's a little bit unclear. But I'm really only bringing this up because I need to show Briana, if she has not seen already, they were filming a pit stop for the movie. And if you have not seen the tweet from F1 Trolls Twitter, they filmed this entire pit stop. I'm sharing my screen, and we'll put the link in the doobly-doo so that people can find this or go on your Twitter or wherever. But here we go. Here is the pit stop bird's eye view of the Apex GP team. Now look at the tires. Look at the tires. Roll past the tires and don't go on. They never changed the tires in the pit stop. It's very weird. It's very fascinating. Editing it in post, I don't know. We're being talked about how this film is supposed to be unbelievably legit and really authentic. And we couldn't even film an actual pit stop. I don't know.
Pit stops are hard, but
film an actual team doing one. I'm getting too picky about this. It's also, I've just watched it so many times. It's weird. It's so
weird because they lean in and they touch, but
I know. So, whatever is happening with the movie, if it's filming, if it's not filming. Please, pay people efficiently and also change tires at pit stops. I don't know. All right, now we're into our branded content alert. This is where I rapid fire a bunch of new official branded content that we're seeing from our F1 drivers being brand ambassadors and just entering really cool different marketing endeavors because that's our favorite thing. Lewis Hamilton's done new pictures from Rimowa for a luggage campaign. Zhou Guanyu has done a whole bunch of new photos with Lululemon, and they're some of the sickest campaign photos I have seen them ever do. Oh my gosh, Checo and McDonald's are releasing a collaboration called the Checo Menu. Specially branded cups and bags, and if you look at the cups and bags, the number 11 kind of just looks like the number 1. I'm just saying, it's pretty obvious. The meal includes a hamburger that's created especially for this collab, a beverage, 2 orders of fries. The picture has 2 orders of fries, and you get 2 orders of fries with the Checo Menu.
What size fries?
They look like medium to me. This also appears to be McDonald's Mexico, so the sizing is completely out of my American brain wheelhouse of food sizes for other places. So it's definitely smaller than if it was in America.
I just want to know if this is a girl math thing where it's you could just order the large, but actually if you order 2 mediums, it's the perfect amount of whatever it is, because that's some serious girl math in my opinion, and I want to know what the rationale is.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but I think just 2 orders of fries, what a magical thing. I also just want to imagine that Checo he orders 2 fries. It's his car fries for the way home, and then the fries for when he's eating his actual meal.
I can get behind that. Car fries are important.
You gotta have car fries. Special edition included in this menu, every single item, I'm assuming besides the soda, has local spices, tahini, beans, lime, jalapenos, a bunch of other things to make it a little bit more of like that Mexican flair, which is really cool. Checo has also announced a deal with Ruffles and has a special thing happening with Kit Kats and Nestle right now. Can you tell that the Mexico GP is coming up? Because I can, even though it is weeks away. Williams Racing and Golf merch. Oh my goodness gracious. After the fans have voted for the bolder than bold Golf Williams livery for Singapore, Japan, and Qatar, they are now making it merch. So they want F1 fans that have voted to select this livery to now buy merch that matches the livery they selected. It is genius, it's beautiful, it's incredible. They will also have a show car at their fan zone in Singapore, so I don't know how many times on Gridwalk we can say that if you are going to a race event, if Williams is doing a pop-up, oh my goodness, go. You can get your Golf Williams merch, take a picture next to the show car livery that you now match. Unbelievable, so great, can't wait to see it. It looks really cool. I love, Golf livery is a great ode to racing history. But the absolute winner of the merch wars currently right now in my mind, and I still haven't seen it yet, Alex Albon pet merch. Alex is continuing to flex his marketing genius muscles. I can't get over this. Please go watch this video on his socials or follow this new Alex Albon Athletics account at AA23. He's having a very important conference room meeting with all of his pets about his merchandise. We're getting Alex Albon merch soon, and I'm hoping that one of the items at least has all of his pets' faces on it. But it is such silly, chaotic content. Please go check it out if you haven't already. And wrapping up, a little bit of big things I just couldn't let go. I am a major Swiftie, if you can't tell from everything happening behind me, or if you've never listened to the show before. So my world was absolutely rocked when I got to hear Daniel Ricciardo singing his favorite Taylor Swift song, Our Song. And oh my goodness, he definitely knows the words. It was completely out of nowhere, off the top of his head. And he also exercises to Olivia Rodrigo while singing Driver's License. Fernando Alonso has claimed that Taylor Swift is in his top 3 artists on Spotify, and I will say nothing else about that, and no one say anything else to me about that. George Russell has attended the opening Rugby World Cup with the Enos Chemical Company. I don't know. Chemical companies are sending George Russell to the Rugby World Cup. And last, I have a big question for all grid walkers out there. Lando Norris has brought back Lando.jpg, JPG, whatever you want to call it. As part of the Gridwalk Friendship Bracelet watch, I have noticed in his most recent posts, he has a friendship bracelet on, but I can't read what it says. I'm able to make out one word says this. I don't know what the rest of it says. So I need some Lando fans to tell me what his friendship bracelet says, because it looks like it's long. Well, that was an unbelievable, very bold, jam-packed return of Gossip Grid. And it felt very good to be back, and I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I'm really gonna do my best to not have the same lull as we had previously. So I'll see you next time on Gossip Grid.
Round of applause. Welcome back, Gossip Grid.
Thank you for listening to this highlight from episode 34 of Gridwalk. Don't forget to like and subscribe for a bunch more F1 videos and a ton of cool content. Also, you made it this far into this video. Why not just watch the rest of the podcast? You can click right here for the full thing. Ready? Click, click, click. Click right here. Click, 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 click.